fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation with Howard Grant is brought to you by Alive, Bahamas Bus and Truck, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, the Digital Transformation Unit, Divinia Grill Foods, Marco's Pizza, Mobile Garage Technologies, Platinum Pastries, Popeyes, Scotiabank, and Wendy's.
So it's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation.
It's the foundation that's rocking the nation. Howard Grant's the host, Guardian radio station. 96.9, 12 to 2 is the time. You can call the show or use the text line. Yeah, he educates, he informs. He goes against the norm. He's really got that zeal. Plus, he's a child of God.
Foundation. It's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company. The Foundation. How we say it locally? The Foundation, right? We're here live and in full effect, and it's an absolutely gorgeous Wednesday here. Hump Day. Middle of the week. I know you guys are out there trying to get yourself prepared for the weekend. That's wild. You are all on the man's job, meandering around the office, half sleep at noonday, 12 cup of coffees in, right? And you just kind of fantasizing about what am I going to do on the weekend. That's wild. You still got, 16 hours to go. Maybe 20 because this half the day gone. You still got half the week to go. You got 40 to put your 40 hours in, and you're out here thinking about the weekend. Well, let's alleviate you for the next 2 hours and really be able to dive into a very good conversation. I got my good, decent girl in the studio with me, none other than Daz, better be Lightborn, Dazzy the Demi, in the studio with me, being able to chop it down. Dazzy, say good afternoon to the Bahamian people.
Good afternoon to the Bahamian people.
They're always excited to kind of hear you guys. You know that on a Wednesday, we always try to kind of do a panel conversation, but I wanted to kind of give Dazzy that space to talk about these things because we've been talking about concepts and ideas that exist in this particular space and being able to look at it from a different perspective. You know, I never tried to attach, because we talked about this, I never tried to attach a name to the issues that we see. I really believe that it's sort of a microcosm, just like a snapshot of the macro of our society, the bigger issue. So when we identify issues that are happening locally, I feel like a great deal of us, we sort of endure this on a wider scale. But, because, you can't hide in the closet all the time. One day out of 7, you can get in there. I want you guys to be a part of the conversation today. Please do that. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands, absolutely toll-free. Be a part of the conversation. 242-300-5720, 242-300-5720, or hit me up on the text 422, 4796, 422-4796. We're live and in full effect today, and we're going to chop this thing down. Now, Dazzy, talk to me. You know what's wild is that you before the break, Dazzy, Howard, this conversation needs a larger platform because it's important that we can be able to talk the way that we're doing. And I'm like, but I can't see that. All I can see is that this is the way that I think about these particular things.
It's not for you to see, Howard, because sometimes when we see something, the magnitude of it will hinder us from moving forward.
We think we're bigger than we are.
It's not that.
That's your ego inflated? That's what you're saying?
Definitely not. This is, the talent we have in this country?
I do.
So the members of society that we produce, we're on the world stage all the time, from sports, music, art, So it lends to reason that in every sector, we would have that talent that can be represented there as well.
You want to
And
know.
the topic that you sent me, Howard, the last time I heard this conversation was on a podcast and a round table between a guy called Stephen Bartlett. He could be a Bahamian. You know, that
I'm
sounds
sure
like
he's
a
from
local name.
Balderhill. He's from
right?
Balderhill. I know him. It's my cousin.
Right? He sounds local. And another guy, called Alex Hermonzi, right? Who's worth like $100 million. And this was their conversation. I just finished listening to that. So when I heard you talk about, and I knew that was off the cuff, right? Because a lot of people come to me, Howard, and they ask me, is Howard really like that? And I'm like, yes. Love it or hate it.
I'm just saying,
yes.
weird. Is it weird though?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know where the question comes from, but I guess people want to know whenever you are on a platform, they want to know whether that is your actual personality or, you know, if you, what Bahamian people, we call it putting on.
Let's put it
Right?
like this. So everyone, I'm sure they're out there trying to figure out
They want to know.
what is Howard talking about? What's Dazzy talking about?
Right.
Let's do it like this, okay? So Dazzy hit me with a couple snapshots this morning because she know we're coming on. How are we talking about today? And she hit me with a couple snapshots. So she sent me the stuff that's happening. She said, "Did you see the stuff on the cruise ship?" I was like, "I didn't see the stuff on the cruise." She sent me the stuff on the cruise ship, and then she sent me the stuff because it's early this morning, and then she says, "What about this rape allegation, so forth and so on?" I said to her, and I'm going to read a little piece of the text. I said, maybe the social challenge of wrestling with tradition and conviction. That's what I said. Just a text.
Just like that,
and
right.
I can't even say to you that I'm driving because, you know, everybody listening like, how would you texting? You driving? No, sure. I'm just,
Right.
I just hit it, right? I was like,
Right.
maybe the social challenge between
Right.
tradition and conviction. Because most recently we just seen the Speaker for the House of Assembly take on a position to start to talk about this kind of an idea that she can't get into the conversation of marital rape because she's never been married. So she don't get essentially into married people business. Okay. And we saw the Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly being able to take on a very strong position right after and say, hey, listen, rape is rape, which is wild, right? And I share those sentiments. Rape is rape. Then I came on the radio and started to talk about the fact that I've been married for 20 years. And sometimes we out here on dry dock just begging for an opportunity
Where's this conversation
to
going?
get washed down, right?
Okay.
So let's just be very clear. So I know that if there is this sort of an idea that says, from a marital standpoint, if my wife is not interested in these particular things, I know no is no. I've always known that. And so when we see this in the papers right now, this wrestling with whether or not we name a member of parliament, this wrestling with whether or not these allegations is actually true, as it relates to a woman indicating that she has been, infringed upon significantly. My only thing that pops up in my head is that this is a fight between conviction and tradition. The tradition that exists in this society that says you hold these things down because people just lie, and the convictions that we espouse to say that rape is rape. What is going on, Dazzy? Talk to me.
So here's the thing. I always like to look at every challenge that comes up in society, even in the news. I like to look at the root because it's always indicative of something else. So what tends to happen is something comes out in the news, it gets sensationalized by the people reading it. We get all excited. We talk about these points, you know, we get into wars of words with people, which never turns into anything. And then we never look at what is the root cause, right? So it doesn't matter which topic it is. At the root of it are the things that we say as people and the way that we live congruent, or is it not? Because that is the crux, in my opinion, of what tends to happen. And it's not just here in the Bahamas, it's worldwide. So are the things that we say and the values that we espouse publicly, are we living the same way as to what we put forward? Or is it just merely an aspiration, right? Or is it truly who we are? Because if you look sometimes at statistics and data, it doesn't necessarily correlate with the values that we espouse. So who are we, right? I like to start there. Who are we?
That's why would you say?
Where are we going?
Statistics and data doesn't
And who do we
necessarily
think we are? Because I see some cognitive dissonance.
Right.
sometimes.
So you're saying statistics and this documentation that we have doesn't necessarily correlate with some of the values that we have, which is wild because that has to be a contrast. You can't say that you hold these values and statistically you're showing something different. So therefore, these are only verbal, gestures, concepts, ideas, theoretical of what your desires are, as
Right.
opposed to what your practical application is on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
We are liars. This is essentially what you're saying. We lie. Because, okay, let me tell you why. Let me say this. If it was Howard Grant, who allegedly, let's say hypothetically, had a sweet thing in the can, right, outside of my particular position, and there was any allegations that I had infringed upon, I don't want to say rape, I feel like it's just too strong a word for radio, right? And I had taken advantage of her significantly to the point where she had to go to the police station. They coming for me. And the headline will be local radio host does boom, 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 boom. Howard Grant. Or if the language would be structured in such a way that you could identify that this is Howard Grant, because the story would say, larger man.
You see me grab the microphone?
The story will say, larger man, right?
A man of the larger variety.
The story will say that, right? And you say, oh, Jesus, what Howard doing, right? But then you can look and you say, is it Steve or is it Howard? And you're going to say, this got to be Howard because he's a young man, right? So let's just be very clear about this. You see, society has a way of being able to protect the tradition, and that tradition is wrapped up in our politicians. Because this is what they want to perpetuate this idea that there is sanctuary when you become a politician.
Well, that's why it's a desired aspiration.
That's bananas.
Right?
And guess what? Beyond the $28,000 shows me that there are other perks that you're getting.
Yes.
The $28,000 that you get on a year-to-year basis, that you dare not ask for an increase for.
Yes.
Right? As we have a significant increase of, prices rising all around us, and politicians sit there nestled in their kind of position and say nothing.
But it's a double-edged sword. So I don't necessarily blame them. Here's why. So no matter what you do, you're going to be in a position. And so you cannot please all of the people all of the time. So you say, this is not enough, we need more. And the outcry is, well, my God, what more they want, right? Although it would lead to reason that the desire for more would represent a little bit more honesty, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you don't ask for it. And then sometimes you see it will surface that acquisitions happen through other means, allegedly. And then there's another outcry. So again, the question has to be asked. And I believe in asking these questions internally because I love criticism. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine. I love when the outside world criticizes the Bahamas. You know why? Because if they criticize us harshly and there's no truth in it, we get to know who they are and how they see themselves because they're obviously projecting on us. If the criticism is constructive and is more observational, then we get to see who we are. And it's like a free assessment, right? A free consultation on how we can improve.
We only get to see that if we are doing introspection, if there's introspection involved, if we're actually looking to, because constructive criticism puts you in a position where if you want to learn and you want to grow, then you look at this, whether it's destructive or constructive, you can wean what you need and still find yourself in a position of growth.
As it should be
but
with
we don't
us
do that
individually.
locally.
But we don't do it locally.
We reject you and tell you about your ma quickly.
Because there's where it stems from. This introspection has to start within, with each one of us. So I examine my behaviors regularly. Things that I say, the way how I think, constantly. It never stops because I always try to be better and improve upon something I may have done or made mistakes. We are human. We will fail. We will make mistakes. Things will happen.
Yeah.
You have to be able to have introspection. If you're someone that cannot ever admit that they're wrong, cannot ever admit that they feel that they're perfect, you are not growing. Your ego is so out of control, you're not growing. And that's just what it is. So it requires humility. It requires, the ability to have introspection. But all of this, Howard, is painful. You know why? Because all of our external signals that we consume, social media is always a blame someone else. And obviously that happens because the world runs on capitalism and, we need it to survive. Because if the world convinces you that problems are external, you will spend money to fix these problems. If you fix these problems internally, there's no money in that, right? Not that I'm against it. I love capitalism. However, that's just what it is. So in order to change a nation, we have to change self. And so if we as a people, that's not something that we normally do, or we think it's strange, there's no hope in changing a nation.
An area
because
view.
They are us.
An aerial view of what we've seen happen with
Right.
and ladies and gentlemen, make sure you pick up your your newspaper today. You can be able to see exactly what Guardian News actually starts to talk about a police rape claim being taken seriously. Barnaby assures no double standard in the probing allegations against the MP. And you read it, Assistant Commissioner of Police BK or Bernard K. Barnaby said yesterday that the police are taking seriously a rape allegation made by a woman against a sitting member of parliament and wouldn't be pressured by social media on how to conduct its investigation. What is wild is the language. If you read the story, it seems relentlessly trying to be able to assure you that we're taking care of this, but we're going to do it our way. We're going to do it to preserve the tradition. He's not saying this. But if you read into the story, you could recognize that there is a necessity, a need to ensure that the veil is intact. And we conduct behind the veil the proper investigations to identify whether or not this is so before we even put someone's name out at the forefront.
Here's the problem. The idea that a veil exists in the age that we live in now.
The veil does exist, though.
It does exist, but it's getting thinner and thinner. And in some areas, there are now rips, tears that are never going to be repaired. You know why?
The veil could be dry rot, Dazzy, but the fact
It
of
is
the
dry
matter,
rot.
the fact
I
of the
like
matter,
that.
the fact of the matter
Right.
is that there is a very clear veil there, and even though we on the other side can see right through this,
Yes.
there are the officials, which are the proverbial pillars socially, to hold up this sort of a social standard and tradition
Right.
that says, avert your eyes. There's nothing to see here. And
Right.
you're looking, and I could see this thing, and you're
Right.
looking, and avert your eyes. There's nothing to see here. After we've done our investigation, we will tell you what to think, what to consider.
And we've seen that in other sectors, medicine. We've seen it reflected. But here's the thing. Usually, and I hate to say this is going to sound terrible, but I have to say it. Usually, if you are attracted to a position that leads you to be effective in government, it's usually one of two things, right? It's either idealism, because you would fall under the category of persons that, definitely want to use whatever they have in their heart to make these changes on a significant level, right? So you're either idealistic, and it's...
That's what the fellas called me. They say, how would you idealistic?
Yes. Or you are playing a game that you're not even sure where you land based on what opportunities could be afforded you personally. And I cannot blame anyone for that. And the reason why I say that, I know people will get upset, the reason why is because our system is set up as a capitalist society, but at the very root of it, we have a lot of socialist parameters that we have to navigate through. And if you own a business in this country, you will know what I mean, right? If you own a business in another country and you compare it to here, you will know what I mean. If you look at our ease of doing business ranking, you will know what I mean. If you try to navigate this society in a certain traditional ways of what the global standard is for business, you will know what I mean. And so, we have to confront some things. We have to look at where we are. Again, we have to look at the motivations behind people who do what they do. And we have to do the cleanup in such a way where it kind of strips away all of the idealism that we would have had in the past, because you are not harmless because you are weak. You are harmless if you have the capacity to do great damage and you refrain. So we have to look at ourselves as a collective and individually and decide, who do we want to be as a nation? Because the narratives that are in the world about us, they are not kind.
We haven't decided, though.
Some are kind, most are not, and I can tell you.
No, we haven't decided, though. I mean,
No, we have not.
You know what's
We have
wild? It's just it's almost like, we talked about how when you have great intentions and this sort of a purpose,
Right.
that the universe conspires to assist you, right?
Right.
We talked about this, and the fact of the matter is that I feel like this is relentlessly what we're seeing in our society, and a lot of people don't like me to get kind of spiritual with this stuff, but I just look at this stuff from sort of a snapshot perspective and or an aerial view. What we saw happen in Abaco with Hurricane Dorian, and what happened with the mud and pigeon peas and so forth and so on in these shantytown areas, how the universe conspired to show us the filth that existed in our society. When I say filth, I mean proverbial illegal immigration, so forth and so on. I don't mean people, right? So I'm just be very clear about that. About this kind of the social filth that we've been compiling over the years and never kind of rectifying, right? And now you got to deal with it, right? But our society in its structure did everything it can do to find more proverbial rugs to sweep the issue under.
Who do we compare ourselves to, Howard? Why is that? Who do we compare ourselves to? And see, these conversations are so difficult to have because the Bahamas has so many amazing attributes, from the people to the natural resources to just the raw talent that lies here. But we can always be better. And so what tends to happen is
the universe is saying that to us.
Right. To avoid this introspection as a nation and individually, we get defensive.
But no, this is what I'm saying. The universe is saying to us, it is time for you to pivot.
Oh, long time.
To move away from where you are.
We're not heeding any of the
You
warnings.
are relentlessly having a conversation about the concept and idea of marital rape and what rape is. I'm going to provide you with an example and show you that you do nothing of it. And that's what it's done. And simultaneously, while it provides us an avenue to wrestle in the face of what we see with who this member of parliament is, we're seeing something that pop up on the cruise ship. The allegations happen in one day, bop. The person's one day, bop. So you didn't have an issue with being able to deal with convictions. You recognize what you need to do. You take them into custody and deal with it accordingly. However, but when tradition is presented with the exact same scenario, you say, hold on now, wait. Take
Let's
your
look
time.
at consequences though and accountability though, Howard, because see, your passport is a serious thing, right? The laws by which govern your passport, along with the attitude of what that passport represents, is very different. So if you go on a lot of like digital nomad websites and travel sites, they will tell you, oh, well, you know, I hold a US passport and we are afforded these different things. Or I carry this passport and we are afforded these different things. So globally, people are very aware of what the representation of their passport affords you. And so that has a little bit of influence, to a lot of influence on the way how we locally even interact with the people that are here. Where's your passport from? Who do you have backing this passport? How mighty are they? What is their tolerance level for their citizens being mistreated, allegedly? Okay? So these are the conversations that everyone knows about. We are fully aware of it. We may have inklings of it, but we don't like to confront. And if we don't confront them, we cannot fix them. And so that is just where we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant and your company, Dazzy the Dummy's in here with us today, really being able to chop it down. Already got a text. Oh my God, Howard, I'm loving this conversation. Could you make Dazzy a regular? Dazzy has a whole job. You need to stop it. She's out here. I'm just grateful for the opportunity she's had. Guys, you know what to do. Give me a call. Be a part of the conversation. The number's there, 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259, anywhere from the family violence, 422-4796, or hit me up on the text 42247, or hit me up toll free 242-300-5720. Let me take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
Make your morning sizzle with breakfast from Burger King Nassau. Enjoy not one, but two delicious sausage and cheese croissantwiches made just for you for only $5.75 including VAT. This breakfast classic is made with Burger King's savory sizzling sausage and melted American cheese on that classic buttery croissant you love. So say hello to Sizzling Mornings at Burger King with two sausage and cheese croissantwiches for only $5.75 including VAT. Only at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
At Bahamas Bus and Truck Company Limited, we provide vehicles known for quality and durability. From the iconic Jeep Wrangler to the award-winning Grand Cherokee, we've got your everyday driver covered. For larger tasks, our Ram 1500, Mitsubishi Fuso Canter trucks, CMC Verica vans, and Fuso Rosa jitneys do way more than just deliver. We even carry a wide variety of pre-owned vehicles. To keep you going, our parts, service department, and body shop can accommodate our brands and others. Call us today at 322-1722 or email info@bahamasbus.com.
It's Spa Week, we got what you need. Sit back, relax, and come in for a treat. We just wanna make you smile. We will go the extra mile at Baha Retreat Spa.
Come visit us at Baha Retreat Spa on East Bay Street.
Relax and come in for
Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharetreat.com.
At Popeyes, we have a deal worth driving for. It's our shrimp tackle box. Taste a tender and delicious shrimp marinated in our Louisiana spices and fried up fresh and crunchy. Served with our ultimate cocktail dipping sauce, one regular side, and a warm buttery biscuit. Add a blueberry cream cheese pie or a strawberry cream cheese cup to your order. Stop by any Popeyes for your shrimp tackle box today.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Jet off to the basketball playoffs with your Scotiabank credit card. You could be courtside in the middle of the action with an all-expenses-paid trip, plus airfare, spending money, and accommodations to the next basketball playoffs. Just apply for any Scotia credit card, spend $120 or more on a purchase, or use our Scotia Select Pay installment plan to win a slam-dunk trip to the next basketball playoffs, courtesy of your Scotia credit card. Visit bs.scotiabank.com for more information.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, on this beautiful Wednesday. So happy to be in your company. The rain stopped. We still got some puddles out there. So if you're going to wash your car, you still got to kind of navigate. I keep, in my mind, I keep saying, well, it didn't make no sense to wash the car because it's still muddy under. I'm just lazy. I got to fix the thing. I'm just lazy. I got to fix the truck. I got to wash the truck. It's too much.
Well, you in your white truck?
It's white. It is white. It's literally white now,
I was appalled because that's not your standard.
It is absolutely. I don't know.
I said, what is going on?
I got churn. You should be washing my truck. What you think I got churn for?
That is child labor.
Let's do it.
The size of that truck, I would not allow you to do that to them.
Let's get into child labor, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the studio with Dazzy the Debbie, really being able to chop it down and talking about where we are and whether or not there is a contrast between the convictions of where we stand in terms of what we want to project globally and our position locally with being able to preserve tradition. We're having a great conversation. I want you to be a part of it. Let me take this telephone call. Carly on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, Carly on the line with us live.
Howard. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Is this Professor?
Yeah, that's me. I could hardly hear you.
What's happening, my brother? I'm right here.
On and I turned it off, and I was trying to hear you. Listen, I don't know if I could speak to that comment made by the Assistant Commissioner for Grand Bahama.
Mm-hmm. You want to speak to that?
I didn't hear you.
Go ahead. Let me hear what you got to say.
Yeah, because I found it to be quite strange the way how it was presented on your radio station and the comments that he made.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a track record of the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Mm-hmm.
There was an incident that occurred at Arawak Avenue and Chesapeake Road some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
6 persons were slaughtered at that intersection. We are yet to hear from the police who was responsible for those 6 people dying. We've heard several comments from the commissioner, in fact, more than one commissioner. But up to this day, we don't have any concrete information as to what the results from the police are.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear this so-called pressure from social media. I don't think social media is pressurizing anybody. The police have a job to do. Social media have a job to do.
Mm.
It is just that the police got to learn to understand we're not operating in the 1930s and 1940s.
Okay, talk to me.
1950s.
Talk to me. I like it. I like you say that. Go ahead.
Okay? Now, the particular personalities involved in this alleged incident, I don't know why it is taking the police so long to deal with issues, particularly when it comes to quote-unquote high-profile personalities.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this may be considered in this particular case. But information is out there. And I think when you look at the record of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, you have to question seriously statements being made by senior personnel in that force.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've had some contradictory statements being made by people at the very top. We're yet to find out that particular incident, what occurred, and the public has not yet been informed by the police.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for your telephone call, my brother. And the scrutiny is it is jarring. Talk to me, Dazzy. We're looking at the thing. We're looking at it. We're looking at the language, the indifference, not necessarily the assertive position that we know that to have from the organization that is traditional in its nature. I'm telling you, I read it. I'm reading it, and I'm saying, well, why do we have to say this? The matter. We want to do that. We want to do it in a professional manner. And that is why I said that we will do our inquiries. But see, if you read this, we'll do our inquiries, and the inquiries contain so many things. And, I don't want to get into that. This is the nature of what the Royal Bahamas Police Force is saying to the Bahamian people as it relates to this. We also heard from the Deputy Prime Minister that says that these are serious matters. Well, if it's so serious, then you got to be able to put some things to it. There got to be meat on this proverbial bones.
It's incongruent, Howard. I was very core. It's everything is indicative of the same problem. And so, what is so sad? What I find sad to be is in most countries, right? You have a sense of where you're headed,
mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of times, depending on where you are in the political divide or where you are based on your religious affiliation, you may have extreme ideas of what is happening. But even if you look at ancient scripts and texts, right, they were belaboring the frailty of youth and the failings of youth, right? I saw this architect, he had posted some drawings that he was going to incorporate in his planned buildings. And he said the inscription was a woman complaining about being shorted gold pieces, right, by some worker who was young and feeling that, the youth were destroying. And this was like in whatever BC. So human nature, we just replicate we're the same things over and over. It's the same cycle. What the Bible says, nothing new under the sun.
Mm.
But
you gotta watch yourself. You know, it's getting excited.
I know. Look at me. That's growth, Howard.
Okay,
Howard, that's growth.
Go
right?
ahead, Nancy. Go ahead. I can find you.
That's growth for me. So here we are. We have to be aware of where we are in the present. Because what are we trending towards? I like data and analytics and statistics. What are we trending towards? Where is it going? So that statement or non-statement, whatever that is considered to be by people who would have heard it or read it, what is that trending towards? See, because when you look at where things are trending towards, opinions don't matter. You're looking at facts. And you're looking at history repeating itself.
That's all this is.
That's all it is.
That's all this is. And so we keep asking ourselves this question at this juncture: where will we be in 50 years?
If we continue on the same way.
In the year of our Jubilee.
Yes.
The year of our Lord, 2023. Where will we be in 50 years? This is a Jubilee year. Where will we be in 50 years? And the answer is the exact same place.
You have other countries right now that are close to us geographically. I'm not going to get into the debate whether we're in, the Atlantic or the Caribbean Sea, none of that. But where are they trending? Because you're seeing a lot of very conscious behavior in the role of what they're saying publicly in their governments about what they see for their future and what they're trying to do. Now, there's been some setbacks.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Jamaica.
Yeah.
There's some setbacks. However, if you look at
Barbados.
I meant Barbados as well.
Okay.
Barbados, Jamaica. If you look at where they're trending, though, aside from what may have been recent, non-recent,
They're aligning their convictions with their
Right.
social position.
where
and
are
creating
ours?
laws accordingly.
What are ours?
We ain't got none.
Is it because we're too close to our neighbors?
We ain't got none. And then you
Are
let
we
people call.
absorbing
You let people
culturally?
call. And
What's happening?
Okay, so when there was this kind of social pushback to indicate that the prime minister taking on a softer approach,
Yes.
people will call and make excuses for our affiliations and relationships, for the lack of conviction that stands in this country. That it is wild to me. We have no convictions. And when we talk about it, everyone's, well, why you want to be idealistic? Well, we want to survive. You won't get imports. You know where we are. This is how we survive. And so everything else is gone to the wind. And the only thing that we can hold to and hold fast to is a hope that our relationships will continue to feed us. Let me take this telephone call, Dazzy. Guys, please give me a call, 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259, anywhere from the family of items, 242-300-5720, or hit me up on the text 422-4796. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You on the line with us live?
Mr. Howard Grant, great show.
Hey, how you doing, my brother?
Good afternoon, Daz.
Hey, what's up?
Listen, Daz is correct, because I look at it in a sense as far as self-idealism. I don't really believe in idealism in all aspects of life, right? But when you are responsible for the public, and then the public should expect, like something that they deserve, not just anything. And so, the implementation of cameras is being delayed, right? Despite the fact that we see where we're trending to, right, Daz? Now, what I'm saying is as it relates to what the professor is saying, okay? I said you could go into the archival footage, right, Howard?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, let's take, for instance, the video that was circulated by, what's the guy who circulated the video about the Azario Major, right? Now, what I'm saying is, his family had to spend $40,000, et cetera, to do this and do that.
Okay, yes.
Right.
Right here. So what I'm saying is, when you look at the congruence of the senior officers top down and the statements they made in retrospect, as you look at the statements they made at the time, that should be frightening for anybody, because that's someone's son, okay? And then so you see the fact that what their officers told them was gospel. Okay? This was scary. And nobody did the forensics. And then obviously, as you saw what was presented on social media, right? That should be very harrowing and frightening, because then what you have then is people making statements presumptuously, presuppositionally, and saying things that don't corroborate what you understand. So I don't know how we can make it as a country, but then cameras implemented, body cams, et cetera, would have been able to solve the problems easy. So then we are a nation being held hostage, and then anyone who speaks out becomes a problem. So the professor said something very integral. This is not the 1930s and 40s.
Yes.
But then it's still a dangerous time.
Yes.
Because then there's a lot of things that cannot be said on the airwaves, but we can see from the incidents on Goodman's Bay and many other instances that they don't want cameras. So what is the Bahamian people supposed to do? But they are coming to us to ask us for information on other people, civilians.
Yeah.
So what is this? Can you tell me? Because what I'm saying is, it's like we are living in a police state. And it is when they have total power and political affiliation can seal them from any repercussions. And so when you see in first world countries, people would have been marching and asking for these officers to resign, because then they presumptuously made statements that really, it's really harrowing, man. I don't know. It's harrowing. This country is in a big mess.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate your telephone call. You know what's wild?
It's a small country.
You know what's wild, Dazzy? This is wild to me. And we've seen this kind of pronounced. You and I talked about it on Rush Hour for a while. We've seen it pronounced significantly and emboldened during the time of COVID-19.
Yes.
Right? Our country does everything to ensure to keep technology at bay.
Yes.
Right? Because technology brings accountability.
Accountability.
Right?
Correct.
And accountability cuts out this sort of the middleman and the opportunity for you to be able to get this proverbial lunch money.
Yes.
Right? And so if we want to be able to retain and maintain this certain lifestyle, we must do everything we can to ensure that technology is out there. And so when the professor calls and say this is not 1930s, they're doing everything to ensure that it is. Talk to me.
So there's a certain sector of the government that performs so efficiently. It always blows my mind, right? And technology is used. It is seamless. When I say seamless, I mean in terms of them using it for acquisition. So
That's all it could be for.
I don't want to call it a department, but we all know who they are.
It's
because
only for
2 weeks,
financial acquisition.
2 weeks after the Hurricane Howard,
Okay.
they were sending business owners, where's your filings? And it's like, well, there's no power, right?
Right off the
Well,
top.
come into the office to us. You know, so
You need to be more proactive when you got money for us.
also during election time, I don't know if you've seen the coordinated efforts of, the strategic placements and pull down.
But
that is a finely tuned machine on both sides.
But it's still wrapped in tradition,
It
Dazzy.
is.
It's still wrapped in tradition
It
because
is.
there are ways that you could ensure that there is more efficiency with the utilization of technology, and they refuse to do that.
How do we get efficiency though? Is it the minister's fault? Because who's there?
This ain't got nothing to do with the minister.
That's what I'm saying.
Ministers come and go.
But you hear people blame. But who is there no matter which minister comes and goes? Okay, I don't want to go there. But we have to look deeper than the surface. And we cannot single out these persons and say, well, they're the ones. This is someone's auntie, Grammy, sister, cousin.
This is wild.
This is us, Howard.
This
We
is
have to
wild.
look ourselves in the face. We cannot separate ourselves. I cannot even do it. I cannot say that, oh, well, I'm not. But this is us.
Let me read the text.
There's no separation.
Let me read this text. It says, I take issue with social media diss from the assistant commissioner. It says social media is not for the glorification of a police force. Any agency solely nor a regular citizen learn to take the bitter with the sweet. Question the MP. This is the information that's actually coming through. It says, good afternoon, Mr. Grant. The cruise ships have cameras and electronic room keys that are locked into the ship's computers. Crimes are easily solved in that particular region. So we go right back to this concept and idea of technology again when we start to talk about these things. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to take one more commercial break before we can be able to get to the news. Right? Oh, we're going to take that break. Let me take the telephone call. Calling on the line with us live.
Well, good afternoon, Howard. And
Hey, Graham, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
You got a good guess. One of the more critically thinking people, Howard. So we had rush hour. We should do a show, the three of us, called Traffic Jam. And we could look at the jam, and it's plenty jam.
Use something else, Graham. Go ahead.
Get a phone book, either of you, and look up every government organization, ministry. They have a fax number still. But you know what's even more stuck on stupid? That we grabbed a phone book to look for the number. We still have a phone book. Cutting down trees, talking about global warming. It just makes me laugh. But you have to look at how to fix the Bahamas, guys. And we need to do it quick. We worry about this one raping this one and whatever. I believe I got raped this morning. I sure. But we should have had a lawyer in the room and a videographer. That's what I said. No, just in case it went to court.
You need to stop.
And
It's not like he was in a food store.
it's hysterical because we're watching stupid, little, important things, but they're stupid on the bigger scale of things. Gas is what, $5.50 still? Electricity bills, we have no solution, and those are about to skyrocket.
Yeah.
That bring down the misery on the inner city people.
Yeah.
And we're going to be calling for more taxation, right? And then we want bigger government. Let's get local government. Well, if the central MP ain't doing a thing about your pothole, you think you got another guy on the payroll, he's going to do something? I don't got a problem with local government if you fire the central government because he was lousy. Fire the MP and take that money and give it to the local government. That's cool. But we don't need two people making the pothole deep and wide. But guys, I could talk for hours. It's a good show, and I look forward to what you discuss. But unless we fix the energy security problem in our country, we're about to have a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Thanks so much, man. Grandma, always appreciate your telephone call.
Again, you know why? Because we parade as capitalists when we are so socialist. I'm telling you. It is to the core, okay? It is not a respected thing. You know, I remember listening, I think I would have been in the 6th grade, and I remember listening to a lady talk, and this was around the time let me see if I could go back in my memory right. But you remember when there was like the construction of the Atlantis happening, right? And I remember entrepreneurship being talked about as something you do when you just lose your job. Well, I got to go find something to do.
That's what
it was
we've been
not
taught.
seen in esteem, right?
No.
It is always seen as, well, I could find something to do. And I remember overhearing one of my classmates' mother.
But I never heard the word entrepreneurialism or
No.
entrepreneur when I was growing up.
No, not at all.
It's work for yourself. That's what
Work
they
for
used to tell you.
yourself,
You work
yeah.
for yourself.
Right.
Right? So they
Right.
never put an esteem to it.
And I could find something to do, right?
You find something to do until you get a job.
Right.
It was always this language.
Right. And when you look at why that is and the way how structures are set up, the country does not support that. And one of the reasons it does not support that is what Graham is saying, based on just energy consumption, right? So there's a lot of problems that are here. Energy consumption and even the populace, their ability to work at a particular standard is just not there, you know, from soft skills to technical skills.
That's the truth.
It is the truth.
That's the truth.
And so you will hear people say, well, there are no jobs. And then you constantly see
job opportunities. Yeah.
But why? And why are people being fired? What is happening? Is theft in the job a problem? Is not having...
Well, the majority of the problem
proper-
is just pure lousiness. Talk to me.
Yeah, but what is the lousiness defined into? Not showing up to work? Like, what are the issues?
Inability.
And people...
I don't think they understand. See, Dazzy, you and I had this conversation. We keep talking like
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
The reason why we could be able to relentlessly speak of the fact that, you know, we have a D-average nation
Yes.
is because no one needs an 8. If I get an 8, then that's critical thinking coming on your job. Then you, in your capacity as an owner, have to listen to my scrutiny on a day-to-day basis beyond just complaining and saying that you're stupid. This don't make no sense, sir. Why are we doing this?
But that is not inherently a problem, because it is the known thing that most entrepreneurs, right, are C students that hire the A students. And one of the benefit is for them to tell you what you're doing is wrong so that they can fix it. That's what you're paying them for. But again,
Not
if we have a
necessary.
nation of people that are so insecure...
Use the problem if you're telling me something wrong.
Right.
Because we cannot accept
So,
the constructive criticism.
but why can't we accept it? What is at the root? Is it because of shame? What is the root emotions that are driving this? Because according to Abraham Maslow, only 2% of the world's population will ever reach self-actualization. So everyone else is somewhere at the bottom, either the red, the yellow, somewhere hovering in the middle or at the bottom.
Black and brown's really at the bottom there.
Well, we have to
great
be
deal of us.
Absolutely, and we have to be aware of that and listen to the music that is created specifically targeting our demographic.
To keep your vibration low.
How are they referencing women? How are they referencing men?
It's a wild
How are they
conversation.
referencing children?
There's a wild conversation.
Is
ladies
there
and
any
gentlemen.
value in human life?
I want you guys to be a part of it. We're going to take a commercial break and get back. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the Family of Islands, toll free. Hit me up, 242-300-5720, or hit me up on the text, 422-4796. Real quick text. This is Howard. Howard, good day. If the MP knows that they're talking about him, won't he come forward and clear himself and clear his name? If not, he needs to stay low. See, it would be a bad thing if it was a hoax and something like that and someone didn't say anything. Wow, this is heavy stuff.
It is.
That person's
All
talking
angles.
about.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we're going to take this quick commercial break right here on The Foundation. Be right back after news.
The Foundation.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
At Bahamas Bus and Truck Company Limited, we provide vehicles known for quality and durability. From the iconic Jeep Wrangler to the award-winning Grand Cherokee, we've got your everyday driver covered. For larger tasks, our Ram 1500, Mitsubishi Fuso Canter trucks, CMC Verica vans, and Fuso Rosa jitneys do way more than just deliver. We even carry a wide variety of pre-owned vehicles. To keep you going, our parts, service department, and body shop can accommodate our brands and others. Call us today at 322-1722 or email info@bahamasbus.com.
Guardian Radio and the Foundation are on the move.
Bahamas, this one's for you.
SBT, Small Business Thursdays. Every Thursday, the Foundation with Howard Grant will highlight small businesses throughout the country, far and wide. Your products, services, prices, and personality. We want to hear it all. Get your 30 or 60-second advertisement heard on air at a fraction of the cost. We here at the Foundation understand the times and don't want you to be left behind. With Guardian Radio, you reach your specific demographic and it is unmatched.
We reach thousands daily.
Get your products off the shelf and your services in their hearts. Small Business Thursdays with the Foundation, only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. For more information, call 302-2300 or the Help Me Howard line at 827-0111. SBT, Small Business Thursdays. Get your business moving today.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, the Foundation, in the house with Dazzy the Demi. Dazzy, so wonderful to have you in studio with us. I get a lot of texts. People's like, man, please bring Dazzy back one day a week. Like,
I got to beg my boss.
You got to beg your boss? It is wild, ladies and gentlemen. You're doing a lot. Always grateful, always happy to be able to have sort of the conversation that excludes the scrutiny of an individual and lends to more sort of a position for you to be able to examine yourself. I think we as a society need to do more examination to get to a better position.
It's important to look at opposing views and opposing beliefs and ideas so that you could meta update your own. So I constantly scrutinize my beliefs about things. And I look at the effectiveness, right? And then I look at the evidence. So one of the problems that a certain community is having, particularly to the West, and trying to recruit people in sympathizing with their movement is because people who are logical can see the dysfunction that exists very plainly.
Dazzy, you're doing a lot.
I have to say it.
You're doing a lot. But you're not saying it.
I'm not saying it, but I have to say it.
You're mentioning it, but you're not saying it.
Because I will not be.
You want me to say it for you?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Go
right.
ahead. Go
Do
ahead.
not.
Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
I got to return to a desk tomorrow.
Okay,
right.
I'm not gonna fight you. Go ahead.
But if you are not persuaded by narratives that are pushed in, the media and the news, and this is not obviously Guardian, right? But if you look at narratives that are pushed, what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of what actually surfaces and exists, not locally, because it's not really a thing here, but because of capitalism, a lot of pieces are paid for pieces and they're indistinguishable, right? I think Fox that just lost some lawsuit, right? But a lot of what is being put forward is not necessarily factual in a lot of cases, right? And so it's not necessarily a bad thing because it can be used positively, but you have to be aware of when you have beliefs about things, are they your own beliefs? Where were they gleaned from? Were you triggered? Did you have an emotion when you went on TikTok and you saw a video about somebody doing something and you had an emotion surge in you? Stop and examine that. What is that feeling tapping into? Because you see a lot of the social media influencers, they actually prey on people and it's very systematic the way that they do it. It's all psychology based and it's for their gain. It's not necessarily for your benefit. So I think it's always good to scrutinize what our beliefs are and sometimes meta update them within ourselves internally. Okay, I used to believe this. I don't believe this anymore. And here's the evidence why. But getting caught up in sweeping
but that would
emotion
mean that you're growing, Dazzy.
Right, and we have to
grow. That would mean maturity.
But if you're not growing, you're dying.
You know what this is? It's a proverbial pruning. Sometimes as the tree grows, you just got to be able to prune.
You better, or you suffer a prolonged adolescence, which is so popular in Black culture. It is celebrated.
By the way, let me be decent with you and let you know that's biblical what I did just now.
Oh, it was?
Watch me. I just get deep with you quickly. I let you know that's pruning. I tell you in this.
I like when you match it up,
Okay,
Howard.
go ahead,
Because
go
you know, for years, right?
Yes, I
I've
know.
just recently come up.
I know.
I'm still a baby, right? In this thing, right?
I know.
So a lot of my beliefs are, from a scientific standpoint, which today is not even. When you hear trust the science, you got to be suspicious because a lot of the science is again narrative, right? An opinion put forward for that have roots for capitalism and capitalist games.
Let me take a telephone call. Caller, on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller, on the line with us live. No? Guys, please give me a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300, 667, 242-300, 5720, or you can hit me up on the text, 422-4796. Caller on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you
Go
now.
ahead.
Yeah. First and foremost, you guys really need to have a little more consideration for your calling guest.
Okay.
Because I know bread isn't free either, but minutes is very expensive coming directly out of your pocket.
Make
But
sure
I
you
want-
dial the 300-5720. That ain't going to take you minutes, okay? Next time you dial in, guys, you can dial it from your phone, 242-300-5720.
Can you say it? And then I listened to it over the radio before the end of the show. But I wanted to touch on the situation with the allegation with the little entanglement situation. But I listened to the confession or the interview or the statement made, right? And I found it to be very romantic. And as a matter of fact, I'm kind of paranoid because I may be guilty of rape myself. But the young lady said that he took her by the hand and he pulled her in a room and she asked him, "What are you doing?" And then she just went straight in the room. And then she said, and then he tore my jeans.
Well, and I will get into the detail of it because that's not what we actually report here. But
That sounds like romance. I didn't hear a flower petal. I did not hear a bill paid. I didn't hear a dress being provided. I didn't hear whisking away on any sort of romantic setting.
It's too much. I can't.
That's romantic? The
don't
bar
know.
is truly in hell.
I don't-
If
I-
that's romantic.
It ain't just low.
I didn't hear anything that sounded romantic
I
to
don't
that.
know. I don't know.
There was no sweet words. Was there a poem recited or
He said it's
a
not romantic.
ballad? Perhaps a live musician. Or perhaps a speaker with a Spotify streaming.
Lamb chops, nothing
the likes
there. Nothing there. This is too much.
Of some Charlie Wilson.
Charlie Wilson?
Right.
Yeah, you're doing too much.
I just discovered him. I'm sorry.
You're doing too much. Let me take a next telephone call.
Not to
Caller.
make light of that situation, but
Go ahead, caller. You're on the line with us live.
What are you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing, my brother?
Under Desi, 2 points I'd like to make, please.
Sure.
One is I'm happy that you cut that gentleman off because the case is not being come up, and I don't know why the young lady is going on social media doing this. It's ridiculous. To be honest with you, if this is the U.S., they wouldn't even try the case. Although it is wrong that he didn't get picked up. But the minute you start going on social media saying what all happened and all that sort of stuff, and then he ain't going before the courts, it's wrong. It's wrong. Keep your mouth closed.
Yeah, that's why I
Let
don't
the
want to
lawyer-
talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
And one more thing, y'all can discuss that after I finish this one. Dazi, you're wrong, right?
What am I wrong for?
Because somebody texted and said, you need to come on at least once a week. And you said something that hit a chord in me.
What did I say?
You said, you don't know what you said? You got to find it from your boss. Then since you was out waiting for people, I never knew you to wait for nobody.
I can explain. You want me
Okay,
to
explain and I'll listen on the radio.
Okay, I'll explain.
Thank you for your call, my brother. I do appreciate you.
I have to explain this because
Go
this has
ahead,
been coming
explain.
up relentlessly, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't know me too, ever. They know me to do contracts and work, on projects. But sometimes you have to reassess in life, right? Where you are, what it is that you're doing, and the output you're putting out. And sometimes you want to experience a different path, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I always had a inkling because I would watch TV and you see certain things about corporate, right? And I was like, I want to try that out one day. And so I decided that I was gonna,
Give it a shot.
make advances in that area. And then the place that I selected was because the leader was just someone I looked up to actually from when I was a child, right? I was able to watch his creations and I couldn't wait. I was like, this is going to be fantastic. You know, it's going to be under his leadership, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes in life you pivot to try a different avenue to see if that's a good fit. And you make decisions based on that. So yeah, that's what happened. And it was a perfect time because it was a lot of turmoil. A lot of you know that I lost both of my parents. And so it was a time where freelancing and entrepreneurship takes a lot out of you emotionally, right? You have to be on your game. And so I thought it was a good point, you know, COVID was just over, to try and pivot something that I'd always want to try to do anyway and to see where it led me. So far it's been very interesting, right? So there's been a lot of high moments, some not so great ones, but it has given me a chance to actually not look at something from the outside and to now have an insight on being on the inside and to see what people face. Because a lot of times, Howard, we don't have appropriate amounts of empathy if we've not walked a certain walk. So now I can speak with conviction. I think about so many different areas of life, right? And it's just been added to just constantly. And I don't know why that's happening. I don't know if it's because I'm supposed to talk about it. But yeah, that's just one of the latest journeys.
This is an exciting thing. It's always great
exciting
to be able to grow.
It is exciting
in these particular areas. And you know what's an amazing thing also is to identify a space that you want to kind of move towards and really get an opportunity.
And very out of my comfort zone, I will tell you. Extremely far out of my comfort zone.
But you know what? Every time we talk, Dazzy,
the ability to look silly every day, potentially.
Every time we talk,
right?
Every time we talk, I say to you that the experiences that you're garnering is for a larger step tomorrow. And you ain't want to hear these things. And you don't have a conversation about national sort of contribution, politically and otherwise.
You turn in my weapon
against
me?
Use my girl. I ain't getting against you. I'm simply saying
my
to
knife,
you,
my sword?
right? I'm simply saying to you that what you can do with all these experiences, Dazzy.
But Howard, here's the thing. You are absolutely right. And when you said it, when the radio was off, I wanted to kick you right under the table, but you were a distance away strategically, right?
You don't want to hear this.
And the reason why is because, you know, the sword of truth cuts both ways. And so that's why the Bible says, you know, you take the beam. You see that? You see these references?
You're wilding out, Dazzy. You're doing a big thing. Go ahead.
So I can make a Napoleon Hill reference too, right?
Okay.
We can do science too, right?
So
we have the double. But here's the thing. The sword of truth cuts both ways. So when you wield the sword of truth and you slice someone else, that same sword of truth, you have to then put upon yourself. So as I was saying what I was saying, simultaneously, I also think, how does this also apply to my life? And I sat here and I was thinking about that as we were having a discussion. And I said, you know something, Howard is 100% right.
I am right, Dazzy.
He's right. I hate to admit it.
There's no need for you to... Okay, so you know this. Juan and I had this conversation. I always carry this specific element of the conversation. When Juan sat here in the Revolution, I sat with him and he started to talk about this kind of an idea that people want success. People are moving towards success.
Right.
And I said, not necessarily so.
Right.
People move towards contentment. People just want to be content. They want to be comfortable.
Right.
That's what they do.
Success is actually an anomaly.
Right. So
those type of people are not common.
Right. So people, for the most part, in our society, feverishly looking for a way where they identify that they're comfortable and they can see consistency in this comfort that they have in this space now.
Right.
They ain't moving from where they are.
They don't want to be fearful.
15 cars around, a little small house or whatnot. But once we're comfortable, we're content.
Right.
And people look for that. Right. But the experiences that you speak of expands beyond this point.
Because I'm not
so it ain't for you,
it's
for somebody else.
Right. But I don't see, for me, life is a social experiment. I believe to my core of my being, Howard, we are alive, you know. Do you know how improbable it is?
Not everybody, though.
But do you know, well, this is true. We do have The Walking Dead. But do you know how improbable it is for us to be alive? Like the science behind it? Do you know what had to align in terms of the signs of ovulation? Like, do you know how rare that is that we actually made it to this physical plane?
Yeah.
How dare you insult this experience without exploring it fully? And we get to be alive. We get to feel. We get to bleed. We get to laugh. We get to enjoy. We are alive. We get to see the trees We're alive, not for a long time, but for a while, and then we go back, right? And so I believe life is a social experiment. I'm not going to waste my time here. I do sometimes, and I'm aware of it, but it is my desire that before I leave, I embody a lot of the things that I say, and I live in such a way that someone could reference it at some point and say, you know, she was right, or I saw what she did there and she may not have succeeded, but I saw, and they grow from it. Because people grow not only from your successes, you know, people grow mostly from your failures. And that's what a lot of people, they hold that and they don't expose it, and they're actually robbing people of growth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. And for what? Your own ego? 3 generations down, who's going to remember that you were here? Doesn't even make sense. You're leaving a legacy, yes, you may, but 5 generations down, those people are strangers to you. They don't even know who you are.
That's crazy. Let's take a telephone call, guys. 96.9. You know the numbers. 323-6232, 325-431-6, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family violence, 242-300-5720. Hit me up with the text 422-4796. Let's just hit some stuff. Let me reference some stuff. Let's not get into the details of this. And that's why I said to you, I always like to have an aerial conversation. We started this off to talk about the contrast between our traditions, holding on to them, and the convictions that we espouse externally. I like to stay there. So if you get into details, we're going to cut you. Go ahead, caller. You on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hello, yes, good day.
Yes, sir.
I just...
Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead. Oh, no.
Where you going?
Call. You guys gotta use the number that does not require your minutes.
This is a toll-free call.
So it's 242
300-5720.
There you go.
That's the one that you call.
Yeah,
it's a
please,
toll-free call.
We do value callers, and the caller made a criticism, and he said, you know, we have to be considerate. And so, yeah, absolutely.
That's the number to
use
call.
that number, please.
Yes. Please use that number.
Unless you're at your desk. And
that's
you're
the next-
talking low.
Yeah. Under the desk. You remember the person called that time? They said, I would be under the desk, but I had to call it. I had to stop it. It's the next telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Turn your telephone. You're ready to. I got to let you go. You there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead. Are
You
you still
keep
there?
missing him. Now.
Oh, no.
I don't know. It must have get minutes. Let's go.
Yeah,
But Dazzy, this is what we're saying. We're talking about these things, and I want to be able to read a text. This is good afternoon, Howard. With no disrespect to our neighbors and the rest of the Caribbean, we have more to consider. Yes, we should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, but the geographical or geopolitical implications and consequences of certain things can have an adverse effect on this country. Is this to the point that we were talking about our convictions and being able to take on a position?
Yeah, I understand what the text is saying, and I agree 100%. We do have to be responsible. However, again, our responsibility should not just be with our words, because our words can say anything, right? And we can live opposite to what our words say. We can just do it in the inverse way that actually is going to benefit our society. So verbally, we can say anything. Yes, we agree to this. Yes, we appease this. But when you look around, you can still see certain traditional practices that actually uphold the preservation of the society.
Yes.
You know, there's who was it that said that? Is it Robert Greene, or was it Napoleon, or was it, I don't even know, Friedrich Nietzsche? Like, who said it? Act as you. No, think as you want, but outwardly present as others are. And sometimes you have to use wisdom. Everything does not need to be said. But again, if our internal convictions are aligned, there's no need to do so much talking. Because a lot of times the evidence of so much speech outwardly is showing the lack of movement internally. And is that who we are as a nation? I don't want it to be, and it does not have to be.
But that's what it is, Dazzy.
That's what it is.
But that's why
we go crazy with the CYC thing, right? When people, why are we doing this? Why? I mean, I do enjoy reading it. I do. I will say I may send out a retweet, here and there. But why are we doing this? Because if someone, he who angers you controls you. So you actually wouldn't have gotten angry if you didn't secretly believe it yourself. That's why I believe people who actually dislike you and who, quote unquote, hate on you are extremely valuable resources. They believe in you more than you. That's why they hate on you. They believe in you more than you. That is your cheerleader with a dirty pom-pom. They wouldn't make your life hard if they didn't see your potential. Why are you mad at this?
But you grow from the hardness that they bring because
you do.
You have to identify it as constructive criticism, wean what you need, and grow from it. That's all you need. That's what you do.
Don't try to get back at them because what are you getting back at? Nothing.
No. That's a principle also. Vengeance is mine. Okay,
that wasn't just him being selfish.
No. So that, you know, you need to stop dancing, right? So it says, good day, Howard.
I'll take all the vengeance.
Marital rape topic I deem to be is just a distraction. That's what I see it as. He says people like to discuss it because it's a sexy topic. Okay. He says, bro, these PLPs and FNM trolls keep defending these MPs. Don't care what they do or allege to have done. Like, remember the MP from Eleuthera? Okay, I ain't getting into your business.
Right.
I can't read the indecency. I try to be as decent as possible, but I don't want to get in
these people
these
come from us. You cannot, again, there's no separation. They come from us, right?
That's just crazy.
Which society? Are they aliens that came down from the sky and said, listen, we are going to run for your government? They have come from amongst us. These are family, cousins, friends. They uphold what we believe. A lot of them do not know how to act because this is the way that Bahamian society acts. You're just embarrassed. It's in the public eye. That is all.
They don't want nobody to see these things.
Right.
Let me take a telephone call. Caller, let me try you one more time. Go ahead, caller. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead. I'm hoping that we don't have an issue with the lines.
I'm hoping so as well.
Try to give me a call again, guys.
I
You
hope
know
it
the
isn't
numbers
that
to
free
be
line.
part of that. No, I think it's cool. The 242-300-5720, 242-300-5720, anywhere from the family violence. 323, you can give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, or hit me up on the text, 422-4796. Let me take this commercial break and be right back. 96.9 FM Radio, The Foundation, with Howard Grant. We're going to be right back after this.
Foundation.
Ready to step into the future? From your front door to the backyard and everywhere in between. See and speak to whoever's there with Ring Video doorbells and security cameras now available at Alive. Protect what matters most, all from one easy app. Available in your Google or Apple Play Store. Visit bealive.com/ring to learn more. We are alive.
Divania's grilled food and products are now open in the Kenneth Plaza, Prince Charles Drive. Come, you must try the jerk chicken, jerk pork, and all their amazing grilled food. Grilled daily to perfection, using all their amazing sauces made right here in the Bahamas. Divania's, grilling good food for life. Call or WhatsApp Divania's today at 817-4468.
My business couldn't survive without my credit card machine from Fidelity. It's fast, convenient, and my clients love it. My sales increased, and I can track my earnings. Get your credit card machine from Fidelity today. Call 356-7764.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM Radio. Howard Grant in your company. The foundation on this beautiful Wednesday, sort of a panel discussion to talk about where we are and where we're kind of moving towards. And like I said, I never like to talk about the details and depth of these things. I just feel like our society is small enough, Dazzy, that we don't know how to get into that.
But here's the thing, Howard. We clearly said we were talking about, the concept behind. And that's truly what it is. All of these, and that's, again, people getting caught up in the minutia. If you call here trying to outline details of something that is an active matter, you get hung up on.
It's too wild. It's too much.
Stop it. You should know better than that. Like, please don't do that, because don't do that.
And I always try
and
to
don't
be
do it on
decent.
this show.
I always try to be decent and say, and this is why I say that.
Right.
What we see in our society, all I see this is, and this is truly what I see it is, not as
Right.
an individual matter, and this is what we started off. The universe is yielding to us and showing to us and
Some people don't
exposing
like when
to
you say
us.
the universe.
Right? Okay, let's say God then, if that's what they want to say. But I'm saying to you is that everything is showing us very clearly, okay, you continue to be able to take on this sort of position about marital rape, and the concept of rape in your society. Let's provide you with an example. This is horrible that these particular things happen, but it continues to happen as we continue to talk about immigration, as we continue to talk about these particular things. Boom! Then we see something happen in the Mudge and Pigeon Peas, and we see the tradition do nothing about it. And this exact same thing that's happening now. Whilst persons are having these conversations about these allegations that are out there, we need to see whether or not tradition will grab hold of the convictions and stand firm, or they can put up this veil
Stand
and
firm.
separate.
Howard, you hear the verbiage that you're using?
But that's what it really.
Yeah, but that is
It could be
expensive.
nothing else.
There's an African proverb that says, beware the naked man that offers you a shirt, right? People can only give you what they have internally. So if someone, this is why I take almost nothing personally. The way how people usually treat you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves, right? Unless you have like extremely low boundaries and, you know, you're seen as like prey by someone else, right? However, usually humans are congruent with what they represent based is like a mirror. So if you are saying that someone has to stand firm, but they don't know what they're going to think one day to the next, it depends on what they actually see on social media. It's difficult to stand firm because the wavering is going to happen because there's no internal anchor.
But that's why the show called The Foundation, because you can't stand firm.
You ate.
on.
Paolo, what?
Huh?
You ate. You really
She's my girl, Dazzy. This is what we can do.
That was so good.
The reason why we have to go back to the pillars that actually did got us to where we are is to be able to identify, scrutinize, and really be able to solidify, strengthen that, and say this is what we need to do at this day and age.
Not only that, I will tell you this, and this is something that I realized very late in life. And I remember doing some
Dazzy, you
research.
wilding out. You ain't even listen, Dazzy. You should be very late in life. You act like he's 75. You know
No,
too
I
much.
don't feel like this is. Anyway, I don't want to.
Go ahead, Dazzy, go ahead. I'm not gonna fight you.
I'm pretty sure I've been alive before, right? So let's
Oh my
just say
God, what are you
that,
doing? Okay,
right?
go ahead. Go ahead.
But here's the thing. So in every society, you have people that are neurotypical, which is what do you call the normal way how the brain works. And then you have what is present in society called neurodivergence, right? Neurodivergence are the persons whose brain does not think exactly like everyone else in society. You know, they may be on different spectrums. They may have, you know, a lot of other things going on, ADD, dyslexia. It may just be a cognitive process that's different. There's other things happening there. And so when you look at hypocritical behavior, that is extremely present in neurotypical behavior because there's truths that cannot be accepted because it causes cognitive dissonance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have entire channels online, on Reddit, on TikTok, on YouTube that are neurodivergents talking to each other that say things like, if a neurotypical tells you that they're honest, they're dishonest. Like they are literally breaking down society into these categorizations and silos where they learn to navigate it based on what are cultural norms. So it's
So what you're saying is that when people come to you and say, "Oh, look, I can tell you the truth. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna
Right.
lie. I ain't gonna lie."
Right?
Yeah, people do that.
Right.
Well, why are you gonna tell me you ain't gonna lie 17 times before you
Right.
start to talk?
Right. And so
Red flag.
There was a I think it was a philosopher. He said something like, you know, I was ashamed when I found out that I showed up in life with my real face and everyone was wearing a mask. And he died like in the 30s. And I felt sad for him because he was neurodivergent. He just didn't know. So you have all of these different types of cognitive abilities in humans roaming the earth, and how we perceive things is different. And the percentages of how we see things are different as well. And so when you place people in categories based on the way that they think, you understand why we have the societies that we have. So if you look at the contrast between the science and the Bible describes it as sheep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's a derogatory term, but it's basically showing the same ratio of calling most people sheep and the same ratio that scientists would use to talk about neurotypicals being, 90 whatever % of society. And so it is the responsibility of those that have divergence in place that can separate the difference between what is, quote unquote, the status quo and what is actually beneficial, to be responsible in how they use this power.
So
Here's
essentially,
the
this is
problem.
the woke people.
No, because that has a different connotation now. You know, they can say, well, you go woke, you go broke. The woke, that's a different connotation. It changed. It used to be one thing, now it means something else. I'm not going to use that term. But the responsibility of the people who have the ability to kind of decipher and see both sides have the responsibility to move mankind towards what is good. Here's the thing, though. It is a thankless, loveless job. So what tends to happen is those with that ability say, what am I doing this for? They don't appreciate it. They don't need it. And they become the faceless, nameless masses.
I love to talk to you.
And then they go rogue.
You're right?
I don't know.
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because the science that you hit me with, I've read this.
Right.
But I see it through the lens of what I've seen in the Bible. And the principle associated with what you're saying is biblically sound.
Yes.
Right? And it's wild to me that these things continue to be able to come back the same way.
Yeah.
These things continue to be able to come
back. Well, that's
back.
why I became a Christian, Howard, because it was an undeniable...
You're going from atheist to Christian.
Yeah, and I was an atheist for years because it became and let me say something. There's so many atheists that have inboxed me since I said that publicly, and you all know who you are because they follow and they listen. And there's so many that have converted now to Christianity because, see, the science is at one point before the age of Aquarius happened, you could juxtapose and say, well, hey, the science is over on the left and what is biblical is over on the right. What has happened is a lot of silos have now been broken and there's like a direct overlap now. And now you look at science, what is known, the new science now overlaps almost perfectly with what you see in the Bible. It's easy to be explained now, right? The earth being without void. Like you couldn't explain that with old science. With new science, you can. So you cannot, the ability to grow is the ability to look at your past beliefs and change them and update them, right? And so you have people now, like I said, they have neurodivergence. They are able to see, but they go rogue because they realize, what am I doing it for? This is thankless. Why should I do this? Let me just do this for myself. And so every time somebody succeeds in a role, who they become is not necessarily who they were when they first stepped in that room. Because what do they say? No man can cross the same river twice because he is not the same man. And that is not the same river. It is the truth for how we live.
I want to ask you this question because going back to the top of the as we get down here and really try to break this down.
Right.
This contrast that we talk about between the tradition that exists in this country
right.
and being able to hold this proverbial line of yesteryear in place.
Right.
And the convictions that we espouse and sort of project out into the environment, into the region, into the world to say that we will take on this position. How do we rectify that? How do we fix that? How do we stand? Is it conviction? Is it a lack of conviction? And if it is, how do we fix that as a society that we don't have to wrestle with these particular issues going forward?
You don't wrestle with anything. Whenever you wrestle with anything, something is going to defeat you. And usually who we are is an amalgamation of what we were exposed to and how we were programmed from birth to the age of about 7, 8 years old, right? So you can never defeat that. That is your core programming, right? That is your operating system. That is your OS. Now you can make updates to the OS, right? You can update the operating system. You could add extensions, you could add APIs, you can add an exe file, you could do different things to it, where the files could be corrupted, operating system shut down. Things can happen, but usually that's who we are. So instead of fighting it, the pathway that actually leads to growth that I found to be successful is to make peace with it, right? And to say, hey, these things do exist. We do not judge condemn, or shame you for this. This is what happened. What do we do now to move forward as a nation? And that is the stance that we have to take, because we are obsessed with shaming, exposing, canceling, and punishing. That does not work, because you know what it does? It solidifies that core OS, and now you have a bigger monster, right? And when you sweep things under the rug, they just fester and they explode. So we have to actually make peace with it. The second way to do is to actually embody the things that we say. So if we espouse certain ideals, we need to live it, instead of just talking about it. And that's hard to do Because sometimes your own inner voice will tell you, hey, you're failing. You're not doing what you said. And people will say it to
That's
your face.
really loud too, though, Dazzy.
Oh, it shouts at you.
That inner voice that says that you're a failure, you're not failing. Because it always compares you to...
Right.
It takes you back to childhood, your inner voice. And
Well,
it says, you
right.
remember when you said you wanted to do this?
Right.
You're doing something like this, but you're failing because you didn't do this
Right.
particular... This is why you keep kind
Right.
of wrestling with this thing.
Yeah.
That's
right.
a crazy
But
thing.
that's not you. You know, you are not your mind. You know that. That is actually not you talking. That's for a different show. But that's not you, right? And you know how you know that's not you? Because you can look at this and you could say this word in your mind. I can't hear it, but you heard it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is not you. So when we separate people always say, be yourself. I think that's the worst advice in the world. Because who we are, like I said, is so much input and so much corrupt input. Create yourself. Don't be yourself. Create yourself. What do you want to be? Take those ingredients. Look at the people who are living it. Don't worry about judging them. Don't worry about external.
I just can do this. Be transformed.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I see what you did there.
I can keep doing it to you because these are principles that existed before us.
But let me tell you why I hated so much when I was a child. Because when I was 8 years old, I decided I was going to be an atheist, before I converted to Christianity now as an adult. I decided when I was 8 years old. And the reason why is because I saw the incongruence between what people said and how they lived. I remember we were going to this church and there was a lady in the church and she was absolutely lambasting and condemning this young girl. She was like maybe 17 or 18 who was pregnant in the church, right? Calling her names, telling her, and I was very young witnessing this. I was in an area I wasn't supposed to be. I'd snuck out from the children's church, was in the hallway, and I heard her lambasting her, right? Now, this young girl is at church, right? So at least she's trying, right? She's at church. But I heard her lambasting her, et cetera, et cetera. A couple years later, I remember hearing her own children talk about the fact that they had different fathers. And I went back in my memory bank and I put those together.
The same woman.
And I said, wait a minute. So I remember quizzing my dad, may he rest in peace. I know I put a lot of heavy questions to him that he wasn't prepared to deal with sometimes. But I asked him, I said, why would Mrs. So-and-so say these things to this young lady, treat her like this? And I had a very good memory. So I would remember everything you said. Inflection, tone of voice, everything. Why would she say this when her own children have stood up in front of church and testified of them not knowing who their fathers were, and it's multiple, and it seems to be different ones? Why would she do this? And so when you have a society that runs on shame, there can be no transparency and there will be no transformations, because transformations means you have to admit failure.
So in your adolescent mind,
yes,
this had to be that God doesn't exist.
No, I didn't come to that originally. My first step was thinking that people in the church are not good people. That was the first path on my road there.
I think that's a tick all of us could put there. Go
right.
ahead.
And so it was not until a little later on I said that I read this in the Bible, but I see this happening in the actual material world around
this
me.
Theoretical and the practical application.
Right. Therefore, this cannot exist.
But that's the same conversation that we're having today.
Right.
We see that our governments continue to be able to yield and have this sort of position and say that the UN says this is the direction that we want to go. CARICOM says this is the direction that we want to go. But we see a different application thereof. Our prime minister has gone off to COP26. Right. And going off to COP26, one of the very first things that he's done, and being able to go out there to say that and sort of condemn the world for their position as it relates to the carbon, their carbon footprint globally, and saying that we don't have this position. But then when we come home, we're still having the same conversation about energy or lack thereof. When we come home, this is the same thing. So we make no modifications locally, but we have an external position.
Because it's expected.
This is crazy.
But you know what's funny? If you read the newspapers in Ghana and use it as translation, they having the same problem with
everyone's having the problem.
They having the same problem.
In Uganda, the exact same problem. Uganda is standing up strong with this anti-gay legislation and agenda and this particular thing. But when you start to read and you look at the demographics, look at the breakdown, 1.25 million people, HIV, 21,000 people die annually from this particular. They have issues. 4,471 people died, was murdered as a result of drug violence, this, that, domestic issues. People have issues.
Right. Yeah. So that's why we can only focus internally. You know, we can only focus internally, and we have to, it's a fine line. We have to have the ability to have the self-esteem and the personal convictions, right, to hold strong to ideals. But we also have to have the humility to know that, you know, failure does exist, and the transparency to say that if somebody confronts us on that, we may say, well, yeah, and so what of it, right? And so what of it?
This is a text, Dazzy. It says, Howard, there's no way that Dazzy was no atheist because I know her from the Pink Prison. I don't know what this Pink Prison is.
Pink
you probably
Prison?
Don't. I don't know what this is.
Oh, I know where.
And they say they aren't atheists and she needs to explain herself. LOL. It's a text that's coming.
Oh,
through.
no. I'll respond to that. Yeah, I used to lie. I believe none of it.
Oh, you used to lie, Dazzy.
Yeah, of course. You have to, because other than that, you have to be forced to confront these beliefs and why. So you act as others, right? So I pretended I did all the right things, but internally I just didn't believe it. It just didn't make sense to me. So
that's crazy.
Shout out to that class, though. I don't. Don't say pink.
You notice?
It's
okay.
a school.
I
They
know what this
making
is.
it sound like we was.
Oh, okay. So okay.
No, that's high school. Yeah.
Oh, this is high school. Okay, so this is
Yeah.
Good afternoon, beloved Howard. Your guest, the beautiful Dazzy, the Demi. I'm so happy that you mentioned the wonderful writer Napoleon Hill. For a number of years, I suspected you, too, of knowing a little about the mind science. Please, plus having the benefit of going through the book Think, Grow Rich.
That's actually
Think
not
and
my
Grow
favorite
Rich
book from him.
by Napoleon Hill. Others
Yeah.
are various self-awareness and self-development books and the path of purpose, all around success, plus the path of wealth building. Your mentioning the late Napoleon Hill proved that from me, Howard, and Dazzy. By the way, are you two also familiar with the late Earl Nightingale? This is a Texas.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Earl Nightingale, Neville Goddard, all of those. But my favorite book from Napoleon Hill is actually not that book. Think and Grow Rich actually is one of my least favorite books from him, to be honest. My favorite book is Outwitting the Devil. That is my favorite book from him.
You mentioned that a few times.
Yeah.
I started to read. I do this thing. I
That
started
is
to read
his
the
best book.
I start to read these books. And then
Yeah.
I don't know how to turn off this mechanism in my head. I start to read a book and I scrutinize it, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.
Right.
I scrutinize it through the lens of my convictions and my beliefs.
Right.
And if it doesn't line up, I can't ingest the entire thing. Which
Why?
is why. I don't know. I can't read it.
No, that's not good, Howard. You have to be able to ingest things that
I go chapter 1, chapter 2,
You
chapter 3, and then it's like, okay, this
you
seems
categorically.
this thing don't line up with what I think.
But you know, I constantly ingest material that are opposite of what I think, and I do that as an exercise and a muscle
That's
to try to
crazy,
understand.
Dazzy.
I do it, and I have to do it. But if I didn't have the ability to do it, I would have still been an atheist today, right? So that is a muscle that you could actually develop, but it's a protective mechanism that your brain actually has, like a shut-off valve and a switch. Boom. We don't believe that.
I just
that
believe-
may be danger.
And then I scrutinize myself. I say,
Right.
do I believe that my belief is right?
Right.
Do I believe that everyone else is wrong
Right.
and I'm right?
Right.
And it can't be. So I try to read the book and then I just can't.
Cognitive dissonance,
I just can't read it. I'm sorry, this is too much for me. I can't take it. Let me cut this off.
Right, right.
But I would pursue information that aligns with my thinking. So I'm a flat earther. I believe in this.
You're
kind of a
what?
Doom. Like
You
I
said that on
believe-
air? This is powerful.
I do believe this stuff,
Yeah.
right? But it goes back to my foundation in the biblical text, right?
Right.
And the separation from the waters.
The
And
firmament.
I talk about so I look at and so I will pursue information to fortify my position.
So here's what I did when I remember. So shout out to Garmin Wilson. So when we used to do Trend Watch, he would get very annoyed at when people would bring up topics that didn't necessarily align with his beliefs. So what I used to do regularly was I would say, okay, let's just say at that point, I think a lot of people did not like Donald Trump. You remember that, right? So back then
I
I
think we're
used
still at that point, but go ahead.
Oh, really?
I think actually we are.
I think he was pretty smart, actually. A lot of things that he did that had, like, nobody's all one thing, right? But he actually did a lot of things that were pretty great.
He knows how to navigate the media.
Yeah.
Wow. He's very good at this.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
He's excellent at this.
Yeah. And then also anyway, let's not turn this into a Donald Trump conversation, right? But what I would do at that point is I would look for reasons to like him and dislike him, and I would fully listen to both sides of the argument and then make a conclusion.
I've done that also with him.
Yeah. So it's good to do that with every topic.
He grew on me.
Every single topic, I think it's good to do that because you may find yourself sometimes meta updating your beliefs later on based on some evidence you would have ingested in the past. And I think that's why people don't grow, because we shut out information. I just was talking to someone last week, and every word I said, they had such a strong rebuttal. At one point, I just stopped talking, right? Yeah. And then I just hung up, because what is the point, right? What is the point? This is not a dialogue. Anything I say, you're just going to rebuttal. And I think that stops growth, right? And so in order for us to grow and update our beliefs and to make the society better by extension, we have to seek to embody that which we say. We have to live it, walk it like we talk it.
But you
like
know something, Darcy?
Those connoisseurs of fine music, Migos.
I can't take it with you.
May one of them rest in peace. And see, I had to question God again, because why take that one, right?
He's the best one,
right? It's the best one, the best soul.
So
there was another one, right?
Watch me, Darcy.
Wouldn't have been a loss.
I say this. I say this.
Walk it like we talk.
It only comes through.
Yeah.
I have a mindset associated with what I read.
Right.
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 I scrutinize it because I feel like I'm ingesting it. I feel like I'm taking this information has become a part of me.
Ooh,
right?
I understand.
So when I'm reading,
so you're careful with what you ingest.
So I have to curate. I have to make sure that I can be able to. All right, hold on. I don't eat lobster. I don't eat crab. I don't eat this crab.
Right.
I don't eat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it and I kind of scrutinize it in that particular light. But as it relates to, because of what I do in my profession, I feel the necessity to scrutinize Donald Trump or give him an opportunity. No matter my feelings about him or this prior thought, I have to watch him and then kind of dissect and say, oh, okay, this guy isn't as bad as people say.
Right.
Or this guy isn't, he's good in these areas.
Right.
So I can do that with personalities, characters, individuals, so forth and so on.
Right.
But as it relates to reading, if I read something like, if I'm reading Alistair Crowe, I can't read it. I can't.
Right.
I can't. Even though I know that there are principles here.
So
I just can't read this.
A book of his I had when I was about maybe
Alistair Crowe?
Yes. I was about 13 years old. I took it to my dad and I said, I'm reading this. What do you think about it?
From?
I'll tell you where. At
the Pink Prison?
No, definitely not.
Okay, go ahead.
At the thrift shop, right? That's where you go to get the best books. So someone threw it in there and I picked it up. And I had everything, right? So at one point I had hundreds of books. So I took it to my dad and I said, hey, I'm reading this. What do you think about this? He lifted an eyebrow and he said, I'm going to let you read this, but not right now. He took it from me. And then years later, I was able to get it back and read it. And so I do think that information should be controlled based on where you are at certain points. But because I've done so many thousands of hours of like personal development training and, learning about not just how the brain works cognitively, but also just the science of it. And I have a pretty good control on, what my beliefs are. I will read more than what I would recommend to other people because I know how I will handle that. And not everybody's at the same point. So it's kind of like a muscle you have to grow. And I know when certain things are beyond my scope even now. And I close it. Same way.
And
then I return later.
I return later. A lot of Black African literature and conversations about liberation to identify where we are as Black people, and I do that a social contrast to find out.
You find the best recommendations for those types of things. You go to the people who absolutely hate it, and you read, and they will show you the pathway. So the best pathway to get opposite end goal is to go to the people who zealously fight so much against it.
Wow.
Because they're almost super fans, right? And I found this forum with a bunch of supremacists that were extremely...
Kazi, what are you doing?
Because you have to read
this
opposing...
Is too much.
No, but you have to, because it shows you who people are. And because let me tell you what that knowledge does. I remember going to school...
not Amazon, ma'am.
No, it is. You better. How would you better? No, there's certain lingo and there's certain talking points that are akin to certain members of society. I can talk to someone today, and based on things that they reference and who they listen to, I know what their beliefs are, and I know whether or not it makes sense or not to engage them in a specific purpose for whatever it is that they said, because I know what their beliefs are based on what they said. So if I go on this site and I hear them use certain words, I encountered someone in real life and he used those words, and I realized that I would not be safe in his company because these are his beliefs, even though he's pursuing something different. So it allows you a certain awareness on how to navigate the world, because being naive is not a virtue.
I can appreciate
and
that.
it does not protect you.
Let me read this text. It says, I just lost respect for Dazzy when she made a comment about Trump. There is nothing smart about that man. Persons in his administration may have been smart, but it definitely wasn't Trump's thinking. I guess she agrees with shining light in the body and pouring disinfectant.
Yeah,
we talked about that. Now we thought that was crazy.
No,
right?
but that's
we
fine.
talked about that, right?
I don't mind if they lost respect for me because I should not be pedestalized either, right? But one thing I never do is throw away someone who's more successful than me and their entirety and reduce them to being stupid because some of their views might be stupid, yes, but obviously Donald Trump is smarter because he is where he is. And all of that is not nepotism, no matter what you say, right? And so we just got to seek to find what the learnings are. We don't have to accept the person in their entirety. We got to look at the message and not who the messenger is, right?
Last text before we get out of here says, Dazzy, can you explain again why you said you got to do one of the rarest things and going back to religion after atheism? I don't think you said you went back to religion. You said, anyway. So he says, going back to religion after atheism. I think you said it was quantum physics. I'm no expert, but I'm familiar with it, and I can't see how that even lasts.
Yeah.
How that even lasts. He said, R.I.P. Takeoff. He's the best of the three. P.S.
Yes.
Why couldn't it have been Justin Bieber or Offset?
No.
Y'all need to stop it. Y'all need to stop it. This is a text.
No, not Offset. That's the father and husband. What happened to
yeah,
Quavo?
yeah.
He's drifting, right? But God ain't finished with him, so we don't know what he's gonna become. But no, Howard, real talk.
Go ahead.
But no, for what it is, you have to. There's a book called The Case for a Creator. I think that's a good place to start.
Talked about it.
Yeah, go right on Amazon, and you can go ahead and read it. I don't recommend trying to get it for free. Support the scientists that put their energy into that book. But The Case for a Creator is a good place to start, and go from there. Every path is not for everybody. Everyone does not have to live a life that reaches the pinnacle of self-actualization. None of that. It's actually a lonely, hard road. And so this show is never to condemn anyone who makes a different life choice. It may be your purpose in life to embody a very simple life that is very free of stress and is a full enjoyment of us spending time on this earth. I enjoy what I talk about, but it is not for everyone. So it is by never any means to think, well, I'm better than someone or it's a condemnation. Never. There's never any shame behind it. You live your chief definite aim, your definite chief aim. Whatever you feel you were called to do, if that is lay on the couch and play video games, and shout out to a friend of mine who streams on Twitch.
They need to stop.
And he makes $100K a month on the couch on Twitch. If that is what he felt his definite chief aim was to do, and he feeds his family and takes care of his life.
We can't fight these people.
Do what you feel you were called to do. And if you don't know, do something, and then you realize, well, boy, this ain't it. And then you go to something else.
Alistair
and then
Crowley
you'll find
said,
it.
do what thou wilt.
Stop it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Howard.
let me just stop. Let you know that's satanic. Talk to me. The devil is a liar. Let's be very clear about this. Now, guys, I want to thank you, man. You always kind of push and provoke me to have these kind of conversations, and I enjoy it.
Howard, I enjoy your feedback, and I enjoy your perspectives. And I really appreciate the fact that your knowledge is in a complete different direction than mine, but you're able to sometimes translate and help me align certain thoughts.
And you do the same thing.
Because who I can call and talk to these things about, right? Let's be serious.
This girl is crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, we started this conversation off at the top of the hour really talking about the contrast between convictions and traditions that exist here. And I think we need to be able to have more scrutiny to really do some self-examining. Send that probe down within your spirit to know whether or not we're aligning with some of these great aspirations and ideas, or like the professor would say, does this even align with the Constitution? If you don't have this kind of a position internally, there is an external mark that all of us move towards. And though we may be able to scrutinize that, we have to look at this mark collectively as a society to say we're moving towards that. I believe we need to be able to stand firm in our conviction. Dazzy, talk to me.
Absolutely.
We have to stand firm. I mean,
Absolutely.
There's no two ways about that. And I think that this is what the core is, not necessarily being able to give detail to any one issue, but really looking at us and say, are we getting better are we getting worse? Let's continue to be able to move towards better. And I encourage you to be able to do more of this scrutiny internally so we can see this sort of society that we envision. It's been a great conversation, guys. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company with the foundation. Dazzy.
Yeah, it's
thank
good to
you.
be
Was
here.
a decent woman.
Thank you.
Praise God.
Great to
for
be
you.
here. Miss you guys. Thank you for the support.
Thank you so kindly, man. Guys, we're going to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Small Business Thursday. If you want to be a part of that, please give me a call. 827-0111. 827-0111. You can still be able to be a part of that. I got 3 persons lined up. So we got 1 slot available. If not, we're going to open up the lines for you guys tomorrow. Please stick and stay for Shavago Lang with Z Live right after this. Have a great day, guys.
The foundation.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.